People living with type 1 diabetes in England are set to receive what's been dubbed an artificial pancreas in a world-first initiative being rolled out by the NHS. The device continually monitors a person's blood glucose, then automatically adjusts the amount of insulin given to them through a pump. Campaigners say it could make a life-changing difference to the 250,000 people living with type 1 diabetes in England. Amelia Harper reports.
For 44 years, Les Watson has juggled an active life in Devon with his type 1 diabetes. But it's just got easier. With new technology, the NHS is calling an artificial pancreas.
The thin blue line is how much insulin I've been getting.
A system involving a phone, a monitoring patch and a grey insulin pump continuously monitors blood glucose levels, automatically adjusting the dose.
This is an insulin pump.
And it puts an end to manual injections and the need to draw blood.
There are three components, and all three components need to be wirelessly connected. The biggest benefit that I can see is the mental load of handling type 1 diabetes with systems like this is just reduced tremendously. I can sleep at night.
There are currently over 269,000 people living in England with type 1 diabetes. NHS England spends around £10 billion a year and around 10% of its entire budget on identifying and treating the condition. The artificial pancreas technology will be rolled out over the next 5 years across England. To identify those who are eligible, £2.5 million has been given to local health services. It's hoped it will help tens of thousands of children and adults.
This is pretty much at as much as a cutting edge as it can be. So to put it in context, of all the people who have type 1 diabetes in England and Wales, the criteria would make about 78 to 80% of people eligible. So that's pretty big as we go forwards.
The chief executive of Diabetes UK says diabetes is a tough and relentless condition, but these systems make a significant life-changing difference. This really is a landmark moment and will be working with the NHS and others to ensure a fair rollout that reaches people as quickly as possible. This technology should reduce the stress around managing diabetes, and for those already benefiting, it's meant keeping a lid on blood sugar levels just got easier. Amelia Harper, Sky News.
From F1 to Q1. Operate with pit stop precision. This program is brought to you by Workday, a finance and HR system.
Well, let's get more on this now. Dr. Partha Kar joins me now. You saw him in that report there. He's NHS England's type 1 diabetes and technology lead. And Chris Bright also joins me. He's got type 1 diabetes and has been using the artificial pancreas for the last 6 months. Good evening to both of you and thanks for joining us. Chris, I guess the first question has to go to you. What difference has it made to you?
It's made a huge difference. It's completely changed the way that I manage type 1 diabetes, and as we've just seen in the VT, it's really reduced the burden that I go through every single day whilst trying to manage what is a relentless condition.
And Professor Carr, what does it mean to get to this point? How much work has gone into this, and what is the significance of this moment?
So I think, a lot of people ought to take credit for it. Charities like JDRF, professors like Roman Hoverka, all the work they have done. This is a culmination of all that work. Taken a long time for us to get there, many people behind it, and it's wonderful to see it happen. And the way I describe it is to say it's probably the best thing science can provide at the moment for type 1 diabetes beyond a cure. And I think that's as cutting edge as it gets. Huge change in quality of life apart from all the outcomes and stuff. And you've heard from Chris and Les before that. I can't put it any better. I don't have type 1 diabetes, but let's put it this way. We're very proud of having got to this point.
And Chris, for those who don't know, just explain a bit about what type 1 diabetes meant in terms of lifestyle and managing that condition before this technology.
So before this technology came about, I was injecting a number of times across a day, anything between probably 4 and 8 times a day. I'd be dosing insulin based on different circumstances that I found myself. In previous years, before the development of continuous glucose monitoring and the patches that we see now that people wear often on their arms, I would have been finger prick testing. and needing to do probably again between maybe 6 to 12 finger pricks a day to manage my blood glucose levels and learn what they are. So to have this system in place now where I've gone from all of that input physically there to now where I just wear the patch on my arm and an insulin pump, which is essentially talking to each other to make my life easier and take away less of that input, as well as some of the decisions and the thinking that I needed to put into place. It's just a huge step forward, and technology has taken us to a place now where the burden has just been relinquished dramatically for me and hopefully now so many others with type 1.
I know you play a lot of sport. I mean, with this new system, does that have any impact at all on how you live day to day compared to what it was like before?
So when it comes to sport, I suppose I still require quite a bit of input and thinking around it. It still needs some input. It's not the perfect cure. It's not where we've taken away everything to do with type 1 diabetes. So I still have to put some information into it. I still have to plan for sport and physical activity just as I was before. But what it has done is taken away a lot of thinking around it. So actually I spend less time thinking about type 1 going into the game and the sport, and actually get more time thinking about the sport itself, which again, hugely important to being able to try and perform and enjoy the things that you love doing. Away from obviously managing a chronic health condition like type 1 diabetes.
And Dr. Carr, obviously great result for Chris. In terms of rolling this out to that 250,000 people, 30,000, 29,000 of them children, what is the process? How quickly can that happen to give other people the chance, as Chris is talking about there?
So we got a 5-year implementation plan, which makes sense because if you look at the success we've had with continuous glucose monitors, that's also taken us about 5 years. And the reason for that is not just a technology just put on people and forget about it. You've got training needs for the staff, you've got training needs for the people living with type 1 diabetes. And of course, the NHS will roll it out in its time. So I think 5 years is a very good estimate of where we get to. So to everybody listening who's thinking, shall I get it tomorrow? I think I would say that every unit in every centre has been asked to have a priority list, go through children, women trying for pregnancy. And then I think within 5 years, we aim to get to everybody who should hopefully be getting this technology.
And Chris, when it comes to the emotional side of this, obviously those things you talked about that were facts of life every minute of every day, what is it like when those are taken away, when you're not having to think of quite so much in how you live your everyday life?
It's quite emotional. I think for so many people, for me, it's been nearly 25 years. It's going to just change the way you think, the way you feel, the space that it frees up to focus on other things which are really important. It's just quite an emotional thing for us to deal with, and it gives me more space and more energy to focus on other things. It's brought a lot of positivity. It's allowed freedom, and I think that's what a lot of people would hope for and would shoot for with type 1 diabetes for the future is the freedom to live more and focus less on this condition. And all of that combined together is just amazing to feel that way. And yeah, it's emotional, I think, is probably a really good way of summarising all that. And it is so amazing.
Dr. Carr, you talked about the significance of the moment, and obviously we hear a lot about the NHS that's not so positive these days. This is very specific technology, but what does it tell us about how technology in addressing diabetes in this case is making a difference, and potentially for other conditions as well?
No, this is absolutely a bona fide good story. We are pretty much at the edge or the cutting edge of globally where we are. I think this is a really good example of what technology can do to actually tackle the issue of prevention. And to me, the biggest thing is it's a marker of improving your quality of life. I'll probably leave all the audience with one particular quote, which I love giving, which I've heard from one of the parents, which said less beeping and more sleeping, which probably defines a lot. Because this is not just about those with type 1 diabetes. It's about their carers, their spouse, their parents. It makes a big difference. You're changing the whole dynamics around family structures I don't have type 1 diabetes, but I always say it's a very unremitting and unforgiving condition. And I think anything we can do with technology to make life a little bit better, a little bit more manageable, will give outcomes. And that's what we've seen previously with continuous glucose monitors. And I'm absolutely confident it will be the same with this technology.
Well, good news indeed. Dr. Carr and Chris Bright, thanks very much to both of you for joining us here tonight.
Thank you.